Well, what do you think about some of the things that we're talking about here in reference to incarceration, reform, and et cetera?
Well, I mean, when you talk about inside the institution, you talk about the health care. You know, I personally know of a gentleman that spent 22 years incarcerated in the prison system, and while there, had a problem with his leg. They operated on his leg, and they messed it up, put a rod in his leg, and it went bad. And he walked around for a long time incarcerated with his legs just straight. He's stiff, couldn't bend it at the knee or anything, just straight. And it wasn't corrected until he was finally paroled out, and then, you know, he got on the outside, and then he got some real medical attention and got it corrected. Now, that same thing could have happened within the system if that so-called quality health care that people think is in there would be actually in there, and it's not there.
Now, what keeps it from being there? I mean, the money is there, and are we talking about administration or what? I mean, why is it that the people of Tennessee have to spend so much money to get such little results?
The bottom line is profit. You don't spend money, you don't spend your profit if you don't have to. So the less money spent, you know, to service an inmate's needs is a win-win situation for the privatized prison system, you know. And then when you have a guarantee, when you have the state guaranteeing CCA in these private prison systems, 90% occupancy. I mean, how do you guarantee 90% occupancy unless you're saying we're guaranteeing you that we're going to create some systems out here that's designed to trap people into crime that can funnel them into the system? We talk about the school to prison.
That's what I was thinking.
And that thing.
That's the kind of thing you're talking about when you talk about from school to prison and some of the attitudes that they have.
That and also when you look at the drug dealing and the drugs in communities and stuff like that, you know, and where the high concentration of drugs and gun violence and all that stuff exists. Yeah, I mean, it's all by design, you know.
Yeah, and I would say too, and if you don't think it's by design, I would offer this illustration. The past 30 years, both the United States and Europe have seen a decrease in crime. During those 30 years, Europe started to invest in restorative justice. They began to decarcerate, lower their levels of individuals who were incarcerated, shorten their sentence lengths, and now what we see is that they have half the rates of recidivism, and depending on the country that you look at. During that time period, when we have a drop in crime in 30 years, what does the United States do? It increases its prison population by 600%. It builds more prisons. It privatizes prisons until we have a prison nation at this point in time. And our rates of recidivism are double that.
Very good. And of course, we've got about a minute. And so I think the two of you are saying that something can be done in reference to some of the issues that we see in dealing with incarceration and reform. But we have to have people who are willing to give an effort. That is, administrators and custodians and people who have the responsibility for that, legislators as well. And the next time we talk about this, I want to talk to you, Reverend Alexander, about what your group is doing in reference to the death penalty issue, because I would imagine that that's an important issue with your group as well as some of the things that we've talked about. But more than anything, I think that the information that the two of you have given us this morning has really given us a different understanding of some of the issues and how we might be able to deal with it. And I think that one of the most important things is that it says again that folks who don't like this ought to get out and vote. You see, and that kind of activity, because I think and let me thank the two of you for coming by and giving us this excellent information. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.